Learning and education are often seen as the cornerstones of personal growth and societal progress. However, when pride in learning and the desire for external appreciation take center stage, they can hinder the purity of true learning. Maharshi teaches that it is not the learning itself that is condemned, but the pride and attachment to recognition that accompany it. True learning, when free from ego, leads us closer to the search for truth. Humility, Maharshi emphasizes, is not just a virtue, but a foundation for genuine education. It fosters the understanding that knowledge is not meant to inflate the ego, but to dissolve it. By seeking truth through education, we engage in a journey of self-discovery. The purpose of intellectual progress? A devotee, curious about the value of intellectual pursuits, asked Maharshi, "Is all our intellectual progress worth nothing?" Maharshi's response was profound yet simple. Whose intellect is progressing? Find out. This question challenges the very foundation of our understanding of progress. Maharshi invites us to look beyond the surface and examine the I that claims ownership of intellect and growth. In this introspection, we find that intellectual progress is meaningful only when it aligns with self-realization. Otherwise, it remains superficial, a fleeting satisfaction of the ego. Hindrances to realization. The devotee's next question delved deeper into the spiritual path. What are the hindrances to the realization of reality? Maharshi's response pinpointed 3 key obstacles. 1. Memory, the weight of past experiences and impressions. 2. Habits of thought, repeated patterns of thinking that keep the mind in a loop. 3. Accumulated tendencies, subconscious inclinations shaped by karma and conditioning. These hindrances bind us to a cycle of ignorance, preventing us from experiencing the present moment and the truth that lies within. Overcoming the obstacles. When asked how to overcome these barriers, Maharshi offered a direct yet profound solution. Find the self through meditation. He explained, trace every thought back to its origin, which is the mind. Never allow thought to go on endlessly. Take it back to its source. The process involves awareness and discipline. Each thought, no matter how trivial or profound, originates in the mind. By tracing it back and refusing to let it spiral, we render the mind powerless. Thoughts fuel the mind's existence, and without them, the mind dissolves. This practice requires a persistent inquiry into the nature of thoughts and their source. Each time doubt, depression, or any emotion arises, Maharshi advises us to ask, who is it that doubts? Who is it that is depressed? By peeling away layers of identification, we reach the core of the true self, untouched by fleeting emotions and thoughts, living in the present. Maharshi also emphasized the importance of living only in the present. The past, with its memories and regrets, and the future, with its anxieties and expectations, are mere projections of the mind. By anchoring ourselves in the now, we free ourselves from these illusions. Living in the present moment is not merely a concept, but a practice that demands awareness. It requires us to disengage from the constant chatter of the mind and immerse ourselves fully in the here and now. Ego and progress. The devotee then asked a pivotal question: how can I progress? Maharshi's response challenged conventional notions of spiritual progress. Why go on pruning the ego? That is just what it wants to be, the center of attraction. This statement dismantles the idea of incremental progress in spirituality as an act of feeding the ego. The ego thrives on being the focus, even if the focus is its destruction. True progress, according to Maharshi, lies not in battling or pruning the ego, but in transcending it altogether. The journey inward. The journey to self-realization as outlined by Maharshi, is not about acquiring more knowledge or engaging in complex practices. Instead, it is about simplification and surrender. It is about turning inward, questioning the very nature of our existence, and dissolving all that is not the self. Through consistent self-inquiry and meditation, we strip away the layers of false identification. This process is not always easy. It requires courage to face the void left when the ego dissolves. But in that void lies the truth, the realization that we are not separate from the reality we seek. Practical steps for self-inquiry. 1. Meditation. Set aside time each day to meditate. Focus on tracing your thoughts back to their source. 2. Self-questioning. When emotions or doubts arise, ask yourself, who is feeling this? Or who is experiencing this? 3. Detach from thoughts. Recognize that thoughts are not you. Observe them without attachment. 4. Stay present. Engage fully with the present moment, letting go of past regrets and future worries. 5. Surrender. Let go of the need to control or achieve. Trust the process and surrender to the truth. Conclusion. Maharshi's teachings remind us that the path to self-realization is not about adding more to our lives, but about letting go of everything that obscures the truth. By turning inward, questioning our assumptions, and living in the present, we can transcend the mind and ego to experience the reality of the self. The journey may seem challenging, but every step brings us closer to our true essence, state of peace, clarity, and unity with all existence. As Maharshi said, "Take away thought, and there is no mind." In that silence, we find the source of all that we are.